Hi children, today I am going to start second lesson in history, that is 13th lesson in your textbook. And the title of the lesson is Democratic and Nationalist Revolutions during 17th and 18th centuries. The title is Democratic and Nationalist Revolutions during 17th and 18th centuries. In this chapter, we are going to learn about some of the important revolutions that took place in different countries during 17th and 18th centuries. Revolution means a change or transformation of ideas, thoughts, and practices of the people. Revolutions are necessary for the growth and development of human society. If the society is ready to accept changes, the revolution will be peaceful. If the society is not ready to undergo transformation, the revolution adopts violent methods to achieve a better position or condition than the present one. In 17th century, that is in 1688, the Glorious Revolution took place in England. And in 18th century, revolutions took place in America and France also. American Revolution took place in 1783 and French Revolution took place in 1789. Both these revolutions took place in the 18th century. And Glorious Revolution in England took place in 17th century. Now, in this chapter, we are going to learn about these three revolutions, causes for the revolutions, course of the revolution, and also the results of the revolution. Now, first let us start with Glorious Revolution in England. In the beginning of 17th century, England was ruled by kings and queens. England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, together they were called Britain. First, Britain was ruled by Tudor dynasty kings. Tudor, it is the name of the dynasty, and this dynasty kings ruled over Britain in the beginning. And these Tudor dynasty kings, they refused to accept the authority of the Pope, who was the head of the Roman Catholic Church. And this was the beginning of ideas of nationalism in Britain. In 1603, James I, he belongs to Stuart dynasty. James I of Stuart dynasty became the king of England. And he believed in divine right theory of kings. That means he believed that the absolute powers with which the king rules the country are given by the God himself. So, he called it as divine right. Since the rights or powers to rule the country are given by the God to the king, he should not be questioned even by the parliament. That was his opinion. And he also felt that the king is not answerable to anyone. During the time of his rule, the king was given limited sources of income. When James I was ruling over England, the king was given limited sources of income to carry out the administration, and this income was not enough to meet the growing expenditure. And at that time, the king had no powers to levy taxes or to increase taxes to get more income. And only with the consent of the parliament, the king could levy taxes or increase taxes. James I believed in the absolute powers of the king. And also he said that he is not answerable to the parliament. So he levied taxes without the consent of the parliament. He started levying many taxes on the people to get more and more income. To get more money, he sold monopolies in trade. Monopolies means if all the rights are given to an organization or to a person, it is called as monopoly. So he started selling these monopolies in trade also to get more money. And these measures adopted by James I were not liked by the parliament. So, conflicts or clashes became inevitable between the king and the parliament. Now, let us see the further causes for the Glorious Revolution. This James I of Stuart dynasty, he was succeeded by his son Charles I. Like James I, he also believed in the absolute powers of the king. He also felt that the king can rule the country with absolute powers and no one can question him. And he is not answerable to the parliament. Just like James I, he also felt the same thing. And when his demands for giving more grants or funds to the king were not accepted by the parliament, in anger he dissolved the parliament 3 times. And finally, he decided to rule without any parliament for 11 years, from 1629 to 1640. He ruled without any parliament. He dissolved the parliament 3 times and he ruled without any parliament for 11 years. And this period, when he ruled without any parliament, it is famously known as personal rule of Charles I in history. And during this personal rule, he adopted many illegal methods to collect taxes to increase his income. He favored the Catholics and gave them religious freedom. He also collected ship money from the coastal areas. That means whichever ship comes to the coastal areas, they have to pay ship money to the king. And he also harassed many Protestants. Many of these Protestants who could not bear it migrated to America to have religious freedom and to start a new life there. And this again we will discuss in American Revolution, of course. And due to his religious policy and favoritism towards Catholics, Charles I had to fight a war with Scotland. He ruled for 11 years without any parliament. And due to his religious policy, because he favored Catholics, due to this religious policy and the favoritism he showed towards the Catholics, Charles I, he was forced to fight a war with Scotland, but he did not have any money to fight the war. And he was ruling without any parliament. So, he was forced to convene the parliament for giving him special grants to fight war with Scotland. And this parliament was called Long Parliament because it continued from 1640 to 1660. Remember 1629 to 1640 it is personal rule of Charles I because he ruled without any parliament. And 1640 again he convened the parliament and this parliament continued for 20 years 1640 to 1660. So it is called as Long Parliament. And this Long Parliament gave him the grants which he needed. But at the same time it punished the ministers and officers of Charles I. And it also abolished all the special courts created by Charles I. There were many clashes within the parliament, and taking advantage of this situation, Charles I tried to arrest all his enemies and entered the parliament with his followers. A civil war broke out between the king and the parliament. Civil war means without any weapons, just by abusing each other, by exchanging words they fight. And such a civil war broke out between the king and the parliament. And this civil war continued for 5 years. Ultimately, Charles I was defeated and executed in 1649. And England became republic. With his execution, England became republic. And this republican government remained only for 11 years up to 1660. 1649 to 1660. Again, republican government was established in England. In 1660, monarchy was restored in England again with limited powers to the king. King was given limited powers and monarchy was once again established in England. Charles II and after him his brother James II ruled the country. And James II, like James I, already we learnt about James I, he belongs to Tudor dynasty, Stuart dynasty, and he believed in divine right theory of kings. And he felt that he is not answerable to the parliament. So, James II, who became the king of England now, he also wanted to rule the country just like James I, with absolute powers. But the parliament did not allow him to do so. And in 1688, William of Orange and his wife Mary, she was the granddaughter of Charles I. These both were invited by the parliament to come and occupy the throne of England. And the powers of the king were restricted. And parliament's supremacy was established. Now, the power of the king to rule the country was not a divine right. It was not given by the God. So it was not a divine right, but conferred by the parliament. Because now it was the parliament which invited William of Orange and his wife Mary to come and occupy the throne of England. Now, who has the power to decide who will be the ruler of the country? It is the parliament. So, now the power of the king to rule the country was not a divine right. That means it was not given by the God but conferred by the parliament, because it was the parliament which decided who will be the next king, and it paved the way for democracy. The supreme power was transferred to the parliament without shedding a drop of blood, without fighting any war, without shedding a drop of blood. The supreme powers were transferred to the parliament. And because when the parliament invited William of Orange and Mary to come and occupy the throne, they quietly came and occupied the throne. And that is why this revolution is also known as bloodless revolution. Glorious revolution is also known as bloodless revolution. Now, the results of the glorious revolution. It put an end to the divine right theory of kings. That means the right to rule the country was no more given by the God. Of course, it was only their belief, but it was this divine right theory of kings was put to an end. And it also ended the king's despotic rule. Despotic rule means if the king rules as he likes, that is called despotic rule. And this king's despotic rule was also put to an end. The parliament got supreme powers over the king. Due to glorious revolution, the parliament got supreme powers over the king. And many rights like right to make laws, maintaining army, and right to levy taxes, all these are most important rights. All these important rights were given to the parliament. Because parliament now got supremacy, all these important rights were given to the parliament. The power to decide the succession to the throne of England, that means who will be the next successor. The power to decide who will be the next successor to the throne of England was also given to the parliament. And in England, democracy and parliament evolved stage by stage. So it is rightly called the mother of world parliaments. The British Parliament is called the mother of world parliaments. Now let us start American War of Independence. It took place in 1783, 1774 to 1789. The course of the revolution is between 1774 to 1789. We have already read about Renaissance in our previous chapter. I hope you remember it. And during the period of Renaissance, democratic ideas spread throughout Europe and many new sea routes were explored. New countries and even continents were discovered. Already we learnt about it. Columbus discovered West Indies, Amerigo Vespucci discovered America. So many new countries and continents were discovered during the period of Renaissance. And one of such great continent was America, which is popularly known as USA. Now let us see what are the causes for the American Revolution. Between 1607 and 1733, the Europeans who were harassed by the then rulers in England, they migrated to America and established 13 colonies along the east coast of America. You just imagine the world map once. All the Europeans who were harassed by the European rulers, the kings in Europe, the then rulers of the countries, they migrated to America and established 13 colonies along the east coast of America. They wanted religious freedom and also they wanted to start a new life there by starting agriculture, by starting new industries. They wanted to start a new life. And these 13 colonies were Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Philadelphia. These were the 13 colonies established by the Europeans on the east coast of America. And these colonies were ruled by the British governors with the help of local legislative assemblies. Because these are Europeans only who migrated from Europe to America and they established colonies. So these colonies were also ruled by the British governors with the help of local legislative assemblies. And laws for these colonies were also made by the British government. More taxes were levied on these colonies compared to the Europeans. More than on Europeans, the taxes were levied more on these colonies. And right to vote was not given to all the people in the colonies. Only very few people were given the right to vote. That means they could not elect their representatives to the British Parliament. That means they did not have any representatives in the British Parliament. But laws for these colonies were made by the British Parliament. But the Parliament made laws for the colonies. Many restrictions were imposed on the geographical movement of the people. For example, they were not allowed to move westwards and northwards because these regions were rich in minerals. And if they extract these minerals, they may start new industries, or they may exploit the resources, and they may become rich. So that was the reason why these restrictions were imposed on the colonies. They were not supposed to move westwards or northwards. Moreover, the colonies people were not allowed to start certain industries. Instead, they were forced to import those goods from England. That means certain industries they were not allowed to start, but instead they were forced to import those goods from England. And the British government passed the Stamp Act in 1765. In 1765, the British government passed the Stamp Act, which was opposed by the colonies. What is this Stamp Act? According to this act, the colonies had to pay stamp duty on all their business transactions, so it was not liked by the colonies. It was a great loss to them, because on each and every business transaction, if they had to pay high stamp duty, it was a loss to them, so they rejected it. They did not like it. The colonies raised the slogan, "No taxation without representation." That means when the colonies had no right to vote to elect their representatives to the parliament, means they don't have any representation in the British Parliament, the parliament has no right to levy taxes on them. And they also threatened to stop British imports. The British government took back the Stamp Act but levied taxes on many other things like tea, sugar, paper, paints. On all these goods, taxes were levied by the British government. Stamp Act, it repealed. It was taken back. But on all these things like tea, sugar, paper, paints also, it levied taxes. And as a protest against these taxes, the colonies reduced the British imports by half. Now the British government repealed all the taxes except on tea. When they reduced their imports by half, immediately the British government repealed all the taxes, that means took back all the taxes, cancelled all the taxes except on tea. Tax on tea was there. All the other taxes, they were cancelled by the British government. And this led to the most famous historical event called Boston Tea Party. And this incident occurred in 1773. What is this Boston Tea Party? You might have heard of this Boston Tea Party. Of course, some of these incidents like Stamp Act, Boston Tea Party, they are not in your textbook. But I am just for your information, I am giving you. In 1773, when tea bags were received in many of the colonies from England, they refused to unload the bags. And in Boston seaport, when the governor of Boston ordered to unload the tea bags, some people dressed as Red Indians, they got into the ships and threw the tea bags into the Atlantic Ocean. And this incident is famously known as Boston Tea Party. To show their protest against tax on tea, they did like that. And after this incident, the seaport of Boston was closed for all trades. The representatives of all the 13 colonies except Georgia, they met at Philadelphia in 1774. And this was called as the First Continental Congress of Philadelphia. And this Congress appealed to the British King to remove restrictions on trade and industry and stop levying taxes because they don't have any representation in the British Parliament. The king called it as an act of revolt and ordered troops to suppress it. And the colonists were forced to fight for their defense. Thus, in 1775, the American War of Independence started between the British and the 13 colonies. The American forces were led by George Washington and the British forces were led by Cornwallis. Now, in 1776, that is on 4th July 1776, the Declaration of Independence, American independence, was adopted on 4th July 1776, and it was during the Third Congress at Philadelphia. Once again, in 1774, the First Congress of Philadelphia met, and 1775, the Second Congress, and 1776, the Third Congress met at Philadelphia. And during this meeting, the Declaration of American Independence was adopted on 4th July 1776, and it was drafted by Thomas Jefferson. He was the author of the declaration. And this declaration declared that all men are created equal. That means all men are equal. They have equal rights. And they are given some inalienable rights. That means inseparable rights. Some rights they can enjoy without any hindrance. No one can remove those rights from them, including life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And powers were divided between the states and the federal government. Even today, they are following the same thing, federal government. The powers are divided between the states and the federal government. And a Bill of Rights was adopted, guaranteeing the freedom of speech, religion, and rule of law were enacted. Rule of law means equality before law. All are equal before law. That is called as rule of law. And these were also implemented. Freedom of speech was guaranteed, freedom of religion was guaranteed, and rule of law was also enacted. Rule of law means all are equal before law. That is called rule of law. And this paved the way for the establishment of United States of America. Now, the war came to an end in 1781 with the surrender of Cornwallis. And the colonies, with the help of France, won it against the British. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed and Britain recognized the independence of 13 colonies, that is, United States of America. In 1783, with the Treaty of Paris, the independence of 13 colonies, that is, United States of America, was recognized by Britain. Now, results of the American Revolution. Now, let us see what are the results of this American Revolution. Many countries were inspired by this revolution, and especially French Revolution, because immediately after this American Revolution, French Revolution was led. French Revolution was directly inspired by the American Revolution. And the famous slogan of American Revolution was "No taxation without representation." I have already explained what is this no taxation without representation. The colonies were not given the right to vote to elect their representatives to the British Parliament. That means they do not have any representation in the British Parliament, yet the British Parliament made laws for the colonies. And this was not accepted by the colonies. That means if they don't have a representation in the British Parliament, the Parliament cannot make laws for them. The Parliament cannot levy taxes on the colonies. No taxation without representation. And this slogan laid foundation for representative governments. And this American Revolution also gave a death blow to imperialism and colonialism. Almost imperialism and colonialism came to an end. It encouraged democracy and nationalism in the world countries. And American Constitution was the first democratic republican constitution. Now I am going to give you some homework in this part of the lesson. Read the part of the lesson completed, underlining all the important points with pencil, and learn and write 1 mark and 2 mark question answers from the material without seeing.